Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Tasty Tidbits podcast. Get ready to receive rich, well-seasoned, and tasteful tidbits to transform your life. Each week, Dr. Tiffany comes to you with inspirational encouragement and thought-provoking interviews to help revolutionize your walk with God. Are you hungry for more of His presence? Then get ready. And now, your host, author, intuitive life coach, and pastor, Dr. Tiffany Watkins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Tasty Tidbits. I am your host, Dr. Tiffany Watkins, and I'm so excited to have you here on another episode. And you know, we're getting started at the beginning of the year, and we are looking to advance ourselves in our personal lives, but not only in our personal lives. This is a time to sit back and begin to evaluate and look at our careers, look at where we're going in life, and begin to strive to where we desire to be in God in this year. And so I'm so excited to have my special guest today, Cheryl Polk, and she's going to talk to us about some ways that we can do this. But before we get started, I want to let you know a little bit more about her. Cheryl is a master certified life and career coach. She's a recruiter and a former corporate accountant and a homeschool mom who has helped over 3,000 clients gain work through work-life balance, improve life and career satisfaction, and transition into careers they love. She understands that it's not about how you start, but how you finish. Cheryl specializes in career identification, skills development, career transitions, interview preparations, and personal branding strategies for students and adults at all career levels and stages. She is now an empty nester who lives in Nashville, Tennessee with her husband and enjoys staying active in her community and her church. So Cheryl, thank you for being a part of the podcast today. How are you today?
I'm great, Tiffany. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being a part. Well, let the listeners know a little bit more about yourself before we get started.
Okay. So in my early career, I did not have any interview experience or any internships. So I ended up starting my career as a temp making minimum wage. But the good thing is I got in with a decent sized company. So within 5 years, I was able to work my way up to be an accounting supervisor for a division of a Fortune 500 company. And then Then after having my children, I decided to take a brief sabbatical and stay at home with them and became a stay-at-home mom, eventually a homeschool mom. And then after a few years, I started looking to see, just kind of being out there, seeing what's out there. And in 2013, I found a remote recruiting position. Now, this is in 2013, so well before the big, virtual, situation and during COVID. So I was surprised to see it. And so I decided to apply. So I applied on a Friday, and to my surprise, they called me on a Monday and I got the job. And I really enjoyed the job. But what I did not like was the fact that I had so many qualified candidates that I could not pass along because their resumes were just unprofessional, had spelling errors and that type of thing. So I decided to become a certified professional resume writer and eventually a career coach. And I've helped over 3,000 clients, and I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being a part. And I know that you'll be able to help some of the listeners that are listening today. And, we're talking about living our God-given purpose within our career. And so I wanted to start off by asking, what is the first thing you would recommend to listeners when it comes to discovering their God-given purpose?
Yes, Tiffany, this is such a very common question. So for purpose, that's more general. So for all believers, our purpose is pretty clear cut, and that's to know God and to make Him known and to love God and to love people. So that's our purpose. Now, when we talk about calling, that's more specific as to how we live out that purpose. And, we have a primary calling and secondary calling. So for primary callings, that might be different than what we're called to do for work or for community service, which often is our secondary callings. Now, for some people, it might be aligned. Like, say, for instance, in the Bible, God appointed and anointed some people to be king. And so for them, that was both their calling and their career. And then also you might have someone who's called to be a pastor, and he might be a lead pastor, the main pastor for a church, and they may pay him, and that might be his full-time career. So that's both his calling and his career. But for most of us, we might have a calling and then a secondary calling. And then the way to really discover, to really hone in on that secondary calling would be knowing about our personality, how we're naturally bent, the way we give and receive information, and then also our past, our challenges, things that we've overcome, and then our passions, things that we like or enjoy enjoy doing, and then also our natural proclivities, our strengths and our gifts and our talents.
Mm-hmm. And Cheryl, there's so many things that are out there as far as like surveys or tools that can help you, find out what that is if you're not already so further along in your career, or even if you're in your career and you're looking to change. One of the things that I've seen a lot out now is the Enneagram, and I'm not sure if you heard of the Enneagram. Some
Yeah.
people use that as a way to kind of to find out what they're really good at and what they're like. And there's other tools that are out there as well that would help them. Do you have any tools in mind that would help them as well with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, we usually definitely start off with a personality or career assessment.
Mm-hmm.
That's our discovery phase. And then we also do an investigative phase where we find out more about you and the things that you like to do and your strengths and your gifts and your talents. And then also, yes, things that challenges you might have overcome. A lot of times, I went to this conference once and it was on mental health. And a lot of the people there spoke about their challenges. And I noticed that a lot of people there also had a career goal of transitioning into becoming a psychologist or a counselor or one wanted to be a psychiatric nurse. So a lot of times the challenges and things that we've had to overcome in our childhood can, create a different type of passion in us and a different way to serve others. So there's so many different ways to discover not just your personality, but things that you love to do and other things that could be pointing you into the direction of your calling.
Yes, Cheryl, that is so good because I was thinking about that. Even as when I was growing up, I experienced sexual abuse as a child. And so as I grew up, once I got out of college, the Lord was like, you need to go back and grab those in the community that have gone through, some of the things that you've gone through. And I ended up writing a book about it. But I began to go back into the community and I started to deal with a lot of young people that have experienced that, and so it was just part of my passion and my calling. And so I ended up, going to college and getting my degree in sociology, but my focus a lot was on teen pregnancy prevention, that aspect, and to be able to talk that, even coming across in even that career, it was a lot of young people that experienced, sexual abuse. So I was able to, kind of help them even within the career to get past that. I did a lot of training in it. And like you said, it became to the point of where it was part of the career, that God-given career that God had placed in me, to be able to help people. And so you are so right. A lot of the passion that comes from on the inside of us, it is part of that career, because we don't want to be in a career that is not fulfilling. And so that's what I was going to lead to next. There may be somebody listening right now in a career where they like their career at first, or they may have been just working in the career for the money, but they're ready now to transition from that career. So what advice would you give to those that are listening, if, in order to transition from their current career to a career that they enjoy?
Yes, that is a great question. So number one, yes, definitely explore all those things that we mentioned earlier. And then also to do your research. A lot of times, yes, we definitely want to seek God. And of course, we know to pray, but we also know that faith without works is
Is
dead. So
dead.
we also have to do something. So definitely do your research, and then seek help if you need to. And then also seek God about our timeline, because a lot of times we may see something that we want to do and we think, oh, we're just supposed to jump into it. But that just hearing that call is the first step. So just like I know some people, they've heard they want to be a pastor, and then all of a sudden they just quit everything and go and open up their own church. Well, no, that just means it's time to prepare. So, you might have to go and get a theological degree. You might have to start off doing other things in the church and work your way there. So the same thing with, other lay careers as well. So definitely do your research and seek God about the timeline, and then seek assistance from others if you need to as well. Because the Bible tells us that there's wisdom in a multitude of counsel.
That is so true. And I've actually known people that have done that. They feel like, okay, I'm just going to run out, and we call it faith. And then, which faith is good, but like you said, faith without works is dead. And so we can be more wiser at how we use our faith by preparing. Once we feel that vision is there, or we feel like we have been called to do, something different. If we're called to go into politics, if we're called, like you said, to go into nursing, or we're called to serve the community, God will always provide, but we need to be prepared. And I think that's needs to be expressed a whole lot more, even within our faith. And just talking about faith without works is dead. We have to work, and work is preparation. And preparation may take as little as 3 months, but it could take up to a year. You have to learn how to transition by prayer, but then, like you said, planning, writing down your goals, writing down the vision, and then doing your research, because that research will really help to see if this is what you really want to do. Do you agree with that, Cheryl?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are right on it. That's bullseye for Tiffany.
Yeah, so you have to. You have to make sure that you do your research, because a lot of people may think this is what I really want to do, but when you see the work that may go behind what you feel like you want to do you want to go back to school? Because some things may require you, like you said, to go back to school. And anything that you are going to be good at, you should want to learn. You should want to get all the knowledge that you're able to get to be able to be successful, but also to enjoy what you're doing. And so research and doing what God has called you to do is very important. And so with that being said, Cheryl, how can one maintain a work-life balance while keeping God as the focus of their lives? For those that are just, even now, I think about myself, I have so many things that, they call them irons in the fire. So you have so many things that you're trying to do and get accomplished. So how can one maintain a work-life balance while keeping God as the focus of their lives?
Yes. So as you know, we take God everywhere we go, and he should be in everything we do, right? So we should be presenting him at all times. And the tricky part is we only have 24 hours in a day. And let's see, so and most people spend 8 hours minimum at work, which is the third, right? And then most people spend 8 hours maximum sleep, and that's another third. So that only leaves us a third left that we have to use to pray, for community service, for our friends, for our family, for self-care. And that's a lot to fit in that third. So the thing I like to tell people is definitely, start, like you mentioned, preparation, making plans, planning out your day, starting out asking God, how would you like my day to look? Instead of us just jumping on our phones and getting started. So seek him as far as how he would like our day to look. And then also evaluating our lives. Like if we're working 50 to 60 hour weeks consistently, then it's time to make that change. And some things are done for a season. Sometimes we can get ourselves into debt and have to do these things in order to get ourselves out of debt, but there should always be a plan involved. So, and then get the family involved. Okay, I'm going to have to work this extra job for this short amount of time because we're working on getting out of debt. And then so have that plan and make sure you communicate that to your loved ones so they'll know that this is not an ongoing thing. This isn't supposed to be 5-10 years, still working 50 to 60 hour weeks. So definitely and then once you've reached that point that you're really able to make that change, then that's when you really need to seek God about what you're supposed to do next, because it's definitely not his will for us to spend so much time at work that we don't have any time to spend with him, any time to spend with our families, and any time to serve.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that comes with even making different, if we find ourselves, something you said earlier, and even if we find ourselves, where we may have to pay off debt and we work a little bit more, it could even go to the point of where we go back to evaluating our I wouldn't say a budget, but a spending plan, creating a
Mm-hmm.
new plan for us to get out of debt so that we don't have to work, as much and cut back on the spending, or asking the Lord for creative ways so that we can have more time to be able to do the things that we love, because I don't believe that God wants us to just, like you say, work our lives away so that we don't have time to enjoy those things that we love, because we should have balance. Jesus even got away on the
Mm-hmm.
boat away from the disciples, so he had to get peace from all
Right.
the people. And
Yes,
so
yes.
we have to have that time too, even in families, when you're married and you have your husband, you have your children, you still have to find a little bit of time, that mental health time, to be able to get back, just to be quiet, to be able to hear what you need to hear so that you can know and understand, okay, is this my season for me to change in some areas of my life? Or is this some seasons where I may need to cut down on some things, or may be able to sharpen some things up? But I believe in the society today where we're constantly working and constantly pursuing the next vision, pursuing the next goal, pursuing the
Mm-hmm.
next thing, because sometimes we can be pursuing so much, because in the society now, we are at a place where we're all trying to produce a whole lot. and so
Yes,
with
yes.
and so with that happening, we can sometimes push ourselves too much, that we don't even slow down to realize how much we've already accomplished in God, and maybe just slow down, because it will affect us mentally, emotionally, and physically.
So true. And that's why what comes to mind is the scripture that says, "Be still and know that I am God." And so
Hmm.
the first part of that is be still. So yes, we definitely have to have that balance so we can be still and make sure we hear from God.
So, those that are listening, they may be, in their career and they love
Mm-hmm.
their career, but they're looking to pivot into, maybe a new industry, mid within their career. What advice would you give to those that may be thinking that?
Yes. So I would say, first of all, look at those transferable skills. A lot of times we already have skills, that we in our background that we've done that can lead us to the next thing. And then also to do the research as well. See if you need to go back and get any type of certifications or additional training. So look at those transferable skills. Like for instance, I had a guy, a client who started off in one position in business, and he ended up working his way up into management. And he did that for 10 to 15 years. And we redid his resume. He ended up getting around 8 interviews right away and interviewed for it. And then he realized, I don't want to do this anymore. he and so he came back and he said, okay, let's look at let's rethink this. And so we saw that he had a lot of training and development in his background. He decided that's the way he wanted to go next. So we totally rebranded him. We highlighted those skills in his background that fit into training and development, and he ended up getting numerous interviews and ultimately took a position in that field. So God has put so many strengths and gifts and talents inside of us. And so we really need to seek him and say, okay, Lord, what can I do with what you've given me? And then look at those transferable skills and again, make that plan and do your research. And then if you have to go back and get those certifications and trainings, do that. But definitely look at those transferable skills, because a lot of times we already have what we need to move forward.
Well, how late is it? How late is it, or is it ever too late to transition into a new career?
That's a great question. No, it is never too late. I even have some people who have retired, and then they got a little bored during retirement, or they the money that they had for retirement did not take them as far as they thought it would take them, and they decided to re-enter the workforce. And some of those people did not want to re-enter doing the same thing. They wanted to do something new. And so we were able to look at their backgrounds and their skills and their goals, because a lot of them didn't want to work as much either. They wanted to bring in some supplemental income, but they didn't want to work as much or as hard as they had in their primary careers. So it's never too late to reevaluate your 1-year plan, your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, and to think about how you want your life to look. And it's never too late to, God is good, right? He gives us grace and mercy and allows us to be able to make changes and to grow and evolve. And so it's never too late to make that change.
That's so good. And in the process of making that change, we need to look at it, making it fun, and that it's not as scary, because, when I heard you say that, I was thinking, those that are re-entering, into the workforce and the career, you definitely want to do something that you enjoy.
Yes.
Definitely want to do something that brings you fulfillment, because you don't want to be stuck in a rut and have to leave again or change a career again. And that's what a career coach is for, to be able to help you navigate through that. So Cheryl, tell us a little bit, the listeners, they may be saying, I think I'm, interested in possibly, changing careers. What is the first steps that they would need to take with you as a career coach, or how would you walk them through that?
Well, they can contact me. I'm on LinkedIn. That's where recruiters are and job seekers. So that's my primary platform. And I'm there under the username Career Coach Cheryl P. So they can find me there. And then also I do free resume critiques. And so they can upload their resumes onto the Contact Us page on my website. And that is excel-resumes.com. So EXCEL, then a little dash or a hyphen, and then resumes, RESUMES.com. And I'll do a free resume analysis, and that's a great way to get started.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for letting the listeners know that. And we will make sure to get that information in the show notes. But even as you were talking, explain to people before we go what a career coach is, for those that may have a little bit more question about that.
Yes. So a career coach is someone who helps to guide you. They're your cheerleader as well. They're there to guide. They're there to support. They're there to answer questions. And so someone to help you along your journey. And I specialize more with, career identification, skills development, interview prep, resume writing, personal branding for students and adults of all ages. So they're every step of the way to help guide and support and hold you accountable as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl, for being a part of the podcast today. It was such a blessing to have you today.
Well, thank you so much, Tiffany. It was a blessing to be here. Appreciate this platform.
Yes. And listeners, remember, it's never too late to get started in a new career. It's never too late to transition. It's never too late to fulfill your God-given purpose. And if you're dissatisfied where you are, you don't have to be dissatisfied. You can make a change. It's just a matter of doing your research, like Cheryl said earlier, and getting connected with a career coach that can help you evaluate where you need to be. And so again, we will have her information in the show notes, so that you'll be able to click there and be able to find her and find the free resources that she have in order to get you on the right step. And then may also have her to become a career coach for you as well. She has a lot of great information that will be able to help you. And so we thank you for being a part of the podcast today. We thank you for tuning in, and we will talk with you guys soon on another episode. And until then, God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Tasty Tidbits. If you're enjoying the show, feel free to subscribe, rate, and share with your friends. To learn more about Dr. Tiffany, check her out on Linktree at dr.tiffanywatkins or visit her website, iridescencebytiffany.com. Until next time, stay blessed.